Guys, this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Wrestling Collector Shop. Make sure when you need to add new figures to your FigFed lineup, you head over to WrestlingCollectorShop.com.
Started by collectors for collectors around the globe, Wrestling Collector Shop has been serving fans the latest and greatest in wrestling action figures since 2002. Whether you're looking for basics, elites, or ultimates, Wrestling Collector Shop should be your first stop the next time you're looking for wrestling figures.
So make sure to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com and use promo code Swoggle to save yourself 10% on your entire order. That's WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Use promo code Swoggle and save yourself 10% on the newest and greatest wrestling figures out there.
That's more than 9%.
Welcome to A State of Affairs, a podcast where we will debate a different topic each and every week, whether it be pro wrestling, whether it be movies, pop culture, music, or something even greater. My name is Dylan Postl, and I don't know shit about He-Man.
And I'm the undefeated Captain Joe Shoes. I am the straw that stirs the drink around these parts. And the point of this show is simple. Each host will take their turn making their argument about that week's topic. We'll start with opening arguments, which will be done with as little interruption as possible. Let's hope someone remembers that part this week. And then
you do your fucking read or what?
We'll start the debates.
Guys, this week's topic is best wrestling entrance Pyro. This is going to be a bloodbath, ladies and gentlemen. I get the 5-0 count ready. I am winning. I am winning this week.
The 5-0 count.
I'm going to win. It's going to be a bloodbath. Get his casket ready. He might as well just bury himself. But before we do that, we want to know we're noticing you. Your comments, your reviews, your ratings on Spotify, on iTunes, on Apple Pod, on YouTube. We want you to know. So now, this is the part of the show where we shout you out. The one that stuck out to me from last episode was the fast food debate, which I just cleaned house on once again.
No, you didn't.
Absolutely.
Because as per the poll on our social media, which you should remember to follow us everywhere at Affairs Pod, this poll was on Twitter, or X, as the kids on the streets say nowadays. Dylan did win, but it wasn't a destruction. And you guys just love Mr. Chalk. That's what they call him on the streets, Mr. Chalk. Because he just Googles.
You said that. What does that even mean?
It means you
what
just
does that
take.
Mean?
It just means you take the most obvious ones. You pick the
chalk
favorite.
Is obvious?
Yes.
Chalk is obvious?
Yes.
Isn't a pencil more obvious than chalk?
No, that's the terminology we use in the sports betting world. So if the betting odds are in the favor of whatever team, you just pick the three favorites in every one. You know, you like to go to the track
with chalk.
You like to go to the track. You pick the three favorite show ponies. I can see you and Eric Postl there waving your newspapers at the Greyhounds.
Eric, if you think Eric Postl is gambling money away, if you think he's gambling money, you, my friend, are insane. But going to the review,
but Dylan did win. Dylan did win.
I won
according to the poll, but only by 54 to 46%. So even that everyone complained, Shoes went regional, and then a lot of responses. I will say, I understand a lot of people have never had Roy Rogers, but then there were quite a few people who go, "Oh, well, why didn't you have West Texas State ribs on your list?"
I won.
Why you put Roy Rogers, but you didn't have Mid Oklahoma BBQ?
There was a lot of Roy Rogers hate. Like there was a lot of, what the hell is Roy Rogers? And it made me happy.
I'm sorry, you people have never left your one-horse town.
That's not me. I didn't say it. The masses said it. The masses said it.
The people who voted for Dylan. I'm saying, I'm very sorry. You people have never gotten out of your rural town that doesn't even have high-speed internet.
Oh, I got high speed. I got Spectrum.
No, you don't. The one thing you cannot say is that you have good internet.
Bullshit. This is always you.
Nope. George has made this comment already. Oshkosh and Wi-Fi don't work well together.
George, I got good internet. We've tested it. I got good internet. Now to the comment. This comment is from @MichaelCampbell7010. Dylan is right about White Castle. I think they are trash and are only popular because of Harold and Kumar. Now, that is a point you tried to make. That is a point I forgot. That is what put them on the map, was that series of movies.
So I saw this comment and I said, this person is an obvious blithering idiot. There is no other way to put it. The reason that movie exists is because of the following White Castle has before that. And now it was brought to national mainstream in the same way that Howard Stern's Private Parts brought him more national attention after he had been such a cult icon on the radio for years before that. White Castle is the Howard Stern of fast food, and we know, that my co-host loves his Howard Stern.
That pissed me off so much. It was too early. It's 8:48 in the morning for me. It is too early for you to be just grinding,
just
my
absolutely
gears.
Decimating you before we even start the debate.
Shit. Well,
but ahead. I got a comment too, Dylan.
Review.
Go
ahead
over
with your
on
stupid
X.
Shogi of the week.
No, the Shoonie of the week was done on our Patreon exclusive bonus episode this week. Mr. Jeff Montalvo coming in there and wrecking Dylan with some nice comments of his own. Dylan had a hard time. Guys, catch those social dinnering episodes every month in the DLC pack tier of the Patreon at patreon.com/PodXchange. We had a really good time, Dylan. I will say that.
We had a really, really fun time over on Patreon. You said it earlier this week. We've cranked out a lot of Patreon content, a lot of Patreon exclusive content. Guys, check it out. Patreon.com/PodXchange without the middle E. Patreon.com/PodXchange. This week, Landon and I did our first ever Postl takeover with the video game battle, where he just decimated me. It was not good. There was the Landon Fig Fed photo, and the George and Caruso. They did a bunch of bonus content as well. Patreon.com/PodXchange. Go ahead, shoot.
It's a great value. You get 3 shows under one umbrella over on Patreon. And of course, I'll be adding some more stuff too as we go. So stay tuned and come join us. It's a good time. But over on X, Dylan, @Shaggy of NYC says, slam dunk victory for Joe. I miss Wendy's Italian chicken sandwich. Roy Rogers was where I wanted to go all the time as a kid. And White Castle is my go-to.
Your go-to is White Castle? Out of all the fast foods, out of every fast food, your go-to is White Castle. You want to talk blithering idiots? What was the guy's name?
Shaggy of NYC.
He doesn't even have his real name because he's that scared to put it. That's how embarrassed he is of himself that he's using.
I only read half of it, but let's read the other half now. Just because you want to insult. How dare you insult our intelligent listeners?
Go ahead. Shaggy.
Dylan's list was meh. Taco Bell is garbage. McDonald's is overrated. And ice doesn't win a debate.
I sure as shit won the debate because I won last week. Thank you, Shaggy.
I will say,
shitty Scooby-Doo character. You actually pretty decent, early aughts rapper. I love Shaggy. You're my angel, baby. You're my darling angel. Yep. You are not Shaggy. You are a jerk. That's what you are. With
I will
shitty
say,
opinions.
Your argument about the ice I loved it. Because I've never heard anyone at any time in my life say, you know what I love about this restaurant? The ice. And
I won.
And you meant it.
And I won.
Like it wasn't a put on. You meant it.
Nope.
You shouldn't have won. That was a egregious error in judgment on behalf of the listeners. But guys, where you can all put your good judgment to good use is over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify by leaving a 5-star review, just like our double main man, Big Blue 89, who left a review saying, "Rare air. There are very few podcasts that make me yell at my radio like it's 2001 and I'm listening to Mike and the Mad Dog. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or it's a bad thing."
I think it's
Are you
a great
familiar
thing.
with Mike and the Mad Dog, Dylan?
I only know it because of Howard Stern again. I only know
They
Mike
are,
Francesa, right?
Mike Francesa and Chris Mad
And
Dog Russo.
Mad Dog Russo. Yep.
You catch Mad Dog on the MLB network now for more of a national audience. They were the guys who really revolutionized sports talk radio as a genre in the mid-'80s and brought it to a thing because of their debates, just like the ones me and my diminutive friend have here.
Oh, you were talking about sports talk radio. Sorry.
I was talking about you being short.
Guys, this has went on too long already without the debate even having to start. So I think we need to get into it.
So remember to follow us on the social media to win, because remember, we did give away a Cody Rhodes Top Picks Elite figure, and that, Dylan, was won over on Twitter by @FrankieOrtega96. Thank you, Frankie Ortega. So follow us all for our gifts on behalf of our friends at Wrestling Collector Shop, where you can place an order and use code SWOGGLE to save 10% at checkout. This week, Dylan, we are giving away. You ready for this one? This is a cool one.
This is a good one.
A Major Bendy's
Okay.
Sergeant Slaughter Wrestling Collector Shop exclusive figure.
Let's go.
It's the G.I. Joe packaging and design. I think it's super cool. Obviously, I'm a G.I. Joe guy. Had Sergeant Slaughter G.I. Joe on my birthday cake when I was 6 years old. Now I'm in the same toy line as him.
That's the Wrestling Collector Shop exclusives are some of the best exclusives for these Major Bendies. And this one, I'm not a G.I. Joe guy at all. But the packaging for this one absolutely killed it. Joe, how can people win?
Follow us on social media and follow the instructions. I'll give you guys a hint. It's going to be on Instagram this week.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram @AffairsPod. Follow the instructions, what you got to do to win, and you could win that Sergeant Slaughter Wrestling Collector Shop exclusive Bendy. Now it's time to fight. Joe, I won last week. I will give you the opportunity this week again. Best wrestling entrance pyros. We're going three rounds. 1, 2, 3. First, obviously, from best to third place. Joe, since you took a horrible L last week or last episode, I'll let you pick. Are you going to start or are you going to go second?
I'm going to lead off this week.
Okay. This will be good. This will be great.
So my number one.
Okay.
I think people forget as time elapsed how much this person meant to the business during one of its peak periods and how cool the entrance was. But I'm going to go with Goldberg. Goldberg's entrance in WCW, walking through the pyro, snorting out the smoke. That was awesome. And if you weren't one of these smart marks and you were just enjoying the show, hey, the entrance is like going on a first date. It's going on a first date. It's your first impression. And for people who are just there to enjoy and have fun, and for kids in the audience, it was badass. You see this big jacked up dude coming out, punching and kicking at nothing and spitting out that smoke. What a cool visual to have. The music just seemed to fit him perfectly. Everything about that entrance was just really, really rad. I love that Goldberg pyro.
You want to talk about, you want to yell at me and comment on me of going just the easy way out every week, the easy route. You're taking the the number one in society options, and then you're going to do that with Goldberg. What has happened to you? What
you
has
think
happened
Goldberg is a layup option like that?
I think Goldberg is the number one layup option.
I feel like in the time that has elapsed, favorite.
I mean, you don't know wrestling. You don't watch wrestling, which means
I haven't watched wrestling in years at this point.
Stan Hansen didn't have Pyro, I'm sure.
Well, but the majority of the wrestling I did watch does not have. When I think back, like nothing as a kid had Pyro.
Well, times are changing, Joe. We got to change with the times.
But I think because Goldberg has really been out of the eye for as long as he have, and he's been so disregarded or like hateable when he's come back to WWE, especially like when he was doing the stuff with Ziggler or going to Saudi Arabia, like the fans, the masses hate Goldberg. It's been like, you forget, like, for that moment in time, Goldberg.
You forget the one thing about Goldberg that's cool?
Yes.
And that's what you're going to go with? That's what you're going to go with?
No. I'm just saying to say, I don't believe it's the chalk answer at this point.
Oh, it's not the chalk answer. It is the whole box of chalk. You get one of those tubs of the purples and the reds and the oranges and the whites and the greens. You got the whole box. That's what you did. You didn't take one single. You didn't even try for one single standout piece of chalk. No, you just go, screw it. I'm going to take this and just throw it on the ground and whatever it makes, it makes. That's what you did with that answer. That was, they're going to start calling you Dominique Shoes.
So how about this? Shoes. So I already won then.
Master of the layup.
So
Dominique Shoes.
The
master of the layup.
Number one, Dominique Wilkins was a dunk artist. So if I'm just dunking on you, then fine.
Dominique Wilkins, master of the layup. That's what you are.
Master of the layup. I could be like Magic with the finger roll if you want to call it a layup.
Dominique Wilkins, master of the layup.
No, but I could be very wrong, and I know people will love to tell me if I'm wrong. Or as Dylan would like to say, maybe I'm less right than I perceived coming in. I just feel like Goldberg we're so removed from Goldberg being on top that I feel like maybe it has lessened the impact of the way we think about it now. But go ahead.
I'm shocked with that answer and that start that you didn't pick Real American as your favorite wrestling music too. But nonetheless,
Real American is still very much in the zeitgeist.
In the what?
The zeitgeist.
Guys, please leave a comment on the YouTube video or at us on any form of social media if you know what the hell he just said. Zeitgeist?
Yeah, the zeitgeist. Like the culture.
No one has ever used that term.
Yeah, it's a very common term.
I am 38 years old and I've never heard zeitgeist in my life.
It's a very common term.
The number one pyro of all time in wrestling. The number one pyro in all of wrestling. Now it has been used by a few. The one it stands out for the most to me, Christian's Reign pyro. With that music also used by Evolution. How that pyro rained down and somehow bounced off the stage. It was beauty, it was art, and it added to the entrance. Christian's Reign pyro is my number one pyro of all time. I used it for every video game I ever had an entrance for when a pyro was a thing. Every time I loved his pyro. And then Evolution used it, and it just made it even cooler because now you had all 4 members of Evolution coming out through this Reign pyro. And it wasn't like the building size didn't matter for shooting these rockets or all this. It just looked pretty, and I loved it. You wanted to talk about fireworks, Joe. You wanted to talk about fake cowboy hats. This was rain out of fireworks, and it was beautiful.
So I agree with that. I actually was thinking about having that number 2. The person, and you're right, Christian was the first person to have it. I associate it more with Randy Orton. And I think...
Okay, yeah. Yep.
The way it kind of... It maybe sounds silly to say this, but because he had this incredible pyro at such an early stage in his career, made him more credible in a lot of ways. So it was the first time where he's getting a little singles run. He's doing the first time with the outstretched arms on the ramp, the rain pyro behind him. I think it really sold Randy Orton. So I agree with you. That's just absolutely badass pyro.
Point one for Dylan this
I mean,
week.
there's nothing I can say bad about that selection of Pyro. But
you
I
might
will say,
have me with the easy out of Goldberg, but you might have me for round one because you took the easy way out. But nonetheless, I think both of those are very strong choices coming out of round one. I think mine is a little more creative. I think mine is a little more out of the box. Not something that.
see, to me, once again, I think Rain Pyro is like what everybody thinks now. So I don't think it's out of the box necessarily.
Some may say.
And I don't think my next pick is out of the box either, because you
here
know
we
where
go.
I'm going right now.
Batista. Or no, hold on. Let me guess. Kane. Oh,
You
let
should
me
have
guess.
stuck with your first guess, because it's Batista.
God dang it. I left it off my list.
Batista was such a physical specimen and just so intense, such an intense character that the way his machine gun pyro worked with him imitating it as he's in the middle of the ramp, smacking down on it, there is no possible way you could not get hyped by his entrance. There is no possible way. He knew the perfect point in the song. There are guys sometimes they have like these really cool cues in their songs, but they don't necessarily know how to hit them sometimes. And you watch it, you go, oh, I wish he would have waited the extra second here or something. Batista never had that problem. Batista knows how to be Batista, and he would like that building up every time. And when he would go into that machine gun stance, there was not an ass in the seat anywhere in the arena.
I'm so mad.
In fact, it's so good that I have a friend named Dylan Postl who imitates it at Disney World during the final fireworks spectaculars in front of Cinderella's castle. And he goes, "Hey, Landon, Batista!" Because it's so good.
I hate that I left it off my list. I hate that you used it second. The fact that you used it second makes me even more mad because I don't know if I would have used it top three, but man, you got me. Oh no. Because I can't change my list now. I'm locked in. Guys, this is, son of a bitch. Batista is top 5 pyro of all time, 100%, because of everyone doing the Batista now. Everyone, like, when they think of new age pyro, they think of Batista. And Lana came in, what do you got? You got no one new like Cody or Seth? I go, no, we don't. But Batista is a huge pick. If this was a draft, that I feel that could have been anyone's number one as well. Damn it. Guys, I told Shoes before we started recording, I'm going very shoesy this week because I have some odd ones. And my number 2, Shoes, I can't wait because Shoes is going to have no idea. My number 2 isn't a wrestler. It's not a wrestling entrance. It is for WWE's Velocity show.
Now, hold up. I know I can't interrupt you. I just wanted to say there's a part of me that was thinking of doing a show intro as well.
Yep.
So go ahead. Tell me about the Velocity Pyro. Because Velocity was fun, and the colors of the green and the whites were so different that it really stood out at the time. For those of you who were watching to see your favorite independent talent have squash matches on Saturday nights.
That's what I loved about Velocity, is because it had like indie guys and guys like banger matches. Paul Lennon and Akio, they would let just go like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm really regretting this pick now.
This is your Roy Rogers.
This is my Roy Rogers. Where as soon as I said it, I go, I don't know about this one. But Velocity had incredible pyro for the show open. There was 2 boxes on the side of the ramp, okay? And they never did a ramp, really, because it was SmackDown, and a lot of usually taped on SmackDown, so it was sometimes just the flat. Just the no ramp, just the flat floor. They put the 2 boxes on the sides so under the dome of the stage, on the sides. And then Pyro would shoot back and forth it would. You're not getting what I'm saying here. Pyro.
You make it sound like it's a busy intersection than just at the stoplights.
No. This might not have been good.
You're not really selling this well. I made a roast beef sandwich from Roy Rogers.
No, listen here, you son of a bitch. Listen here, you son of a bitch. You want to talk about cowboy hats and these fake bullshit fireworks? When have you seen? This is not. Oh, I might not be winning this one.
You didn't commit to the bit, Dylan. If you want to do it, if you want to be a superstar, you gotta commit to the bit. This is why they never put a microphone in your hands. This is why Freddie Prinze Jr. was like, don't let that guy talk. Keep him under the ring.
When have you ever seen Pyro shoot side to side at a target and then stop? Not like go all, willy-nilly and just explode because it's, you tip over the Roman candle and it just goes into Aunt Betty's yard. When have you seen Pyro shoot across a wire? You've never seen that. You've seen the Dudley Boys with the rocket or Edge with the, but you've never seen Pyro go across a wire back and forth. That's why Velocity is the number 2 Pyro of all time. God damn it.
Dylan, sure. If you say so.
I was so confident when I wrote my list. I was so confident.
Meanwhile, I said, gee, most of the wrestling I watch, Pyro hadn't been invented yet.
I was so confident when I wrote my list. And you come in
here with fucking Velocity?
No.
Meanwhile, the only person who may have watched Velocity that listens to this show is me. Because I was excited to see my friends get dark matches at the time.
Oh, no.
And I can't even put it to memory.
It was Pyro that shot sideways, Joe.
The show I was going to bring up, and this is not going to be an official selection.
It was green.
Yes, I understand.
And it went into a box.
And I know how you love. I know how you love green. I understand that anything that comes out of a box is already over as fuck.
It didn't just explode.
I get all of it. It didn't just explode. It went across a wire side to side. Yeah. Red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. It got you ready for Paul London versus Akio.
Oh, no.
The show Pyro that I was thinking of. Now, you got to remember, like, my biggest time invested in wrestling is probably the Attitude Era. So Raw during that time with the thorn in your eye music, where you had the pew, pew, pew at the beginning. That was the show opening that I was considering. And you actually mentioned 2 of the other ones that I was considering as well for my number 3 spot, because you had said Edge with all the smoke, and I think that one is super cool as well. But
I don't consider him I think the smoke,
like a big pyro. I think it's an effects thing more than a pyro.
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was thinking about it, because I kind of consider it the way he comes out of it, like Batman almost, like smoke bombs, whatever. And there's also another one that was very like meaningful to me, but the pyro is not that kind of a big production. It's like a sudden burst. My third one, I can't even see that. Put it closer.
It says 4 and 1.
Even though that's incorrect, because as we've already established, it is now canon, because I spoke it into existence. It is already canon that I am undefeated. So my final one, and this one I think is going to be a little outside the box, but I think it helped make the guy during his initial year in the company. He goes on to become one of the biggest stars in the history of the wrestling business.
I have no idea where he could be going.
And he sold it so well the first time he got pyro, as if he didn't know it was coming. So it was like a surprise, and he jumped and was scared, which was part of this character at the time that we have come to know and love. I'm going to go with Kurt Angle's red, white, and blue down the entranceway. When Kurt Angle first came to TV, he didn't have pyro, and he got over so quick and he was so good so soon that he pretty much within the span of a year,
God
gets
damn
pushed into the main event of the show. And by the time he gets his Pyro, he's got that kind of goofy, dorky character going on.
Did he have the hair?
He still had the hair, very much
he
so.
Still did.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if he got Pyro that early with the hair or if he was the bald angle.
He probably had the hair for about 2 years before they did the hair match.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if he had the hair with the Pyro.
He had the hair pretty much once he started going into the main event matches. I believe he had it for that SummerSlam 3-way. I believe he did already. Okay. So that's within the first year.
Yeah.
But when the first time he gets the Pyro, because he had never had it before, it starts shooting off as he's walking down the ramp, and he legitimately jumps and he's scared. Like, what the fuck is that? Where did that come from? What's happening here? So he sells the shit out of it, and then it just becomes this part of him wherever he went. The second he points to the sky and all that Pyro comes up in the semicircle around him, or the way the ramp was set up, the Pyro would go off with the red, white, and blue.
The coolest part was the change of the colors. That was the coolest part of it. And then it was because it was 4 shots. It was red, white, blue, and then all 3. Man.
So that's going to be my 5. And I think that's another one. Because you don't kind of associate Kurt Angle with being a big Pyro guy, but it's very much a part of it. And even in TNA, he had a Pyro jump as well. So
until you said it, I would, you don't associate him with Pyro because he's not this extravagant character. But that made him, that pushed him kind of above and made him exactly what you said. They're not going to put Pyro on someone they don't give a shit about.
Exactly.
And they obviously gave a shit about him, and it was just an addition that made him even bigger.
It gives you credibility as a character because we've been trained. It's the Pavlov's dog response. We've been trained to understand that if someone has Pyro, it's because they matter. And even though I think the people who listen to this show who are more in the wrestling fishbowl like we are, we don't forget it. But Kurt's TNA run is legit. If you were watching it, he has so many banger matches in TNA.
Did he have Pyro there?
He did have like a shooting explosion Pyro. If I want to say it was gold though.
Okay.
Like an all gold poof, with the fingers up.
How's it go?
Poof.
Okay.
But Kurt's TNA run is fucking insane. Like the Perk Angle era, where he's just going all out with Joe, and they were main eventing. The highest buy rate they ever had for pay-per-view was Joe versus Angle at Lockdown. I think is still the record. He had so many banger matches, and it sucks that kind of no one saw it. But if you ever go back or you have the TNA app, go watch that Kurt Angle TNA run, man, because he was on fire.
I'm not happy. If I had a white flag right now.
Dylan, it sounds like you were on the losing end of one of those Velocity matches today.
I'm Jim Smith from Horse Cave, Kentucky currently. God damn it.
And me, I'm TV superstar, the Brian Kendrick.
I really like my number 3 pick. I will say.
Well, that's all that matters.
Was oh, fuck you. I was thinking, I was like, man, I was a new generation kid. Okay. That was my era. That was when I was like, I was into wrestling, obviously, in the late 80s, early 90s. Warrior was my guy I always talk about and that. But I was a new generation kid. That was when I kind of got into wrestling big time. So now I was like, man, what Pyros did they have in New Generation that like really stood out to me? You had Sid with the letters.
Mm-hmm.
You had Razor with the trees, the 3 prongs in the ring.
Oh yeah. See, I don't really remember it though. Like I once you say it, like, and I got to think about it though.
Yep. You had Sean with the
yes.
Yes. I don't know how that hasn't made our list. That one, that's an underrated one that hasn't made our list, and it blows my mind. But
yeah, You know what I think it is? I think it's because of when Sean got hurt.
Yep.
That
Yep.
When wrestling was starting, because the business was down when he was on top, but he leaves, and all of a sudden it's become this massive thing, and he's nowhere to be found for years.
Yeah. My third favorite Pyro. This guy came back. He had a return. WrestleMania 12 against Triple H. Went on to work with Lawler. What do you find funny?
No,
what do you find funny?
Go ahead.
What are you yucking about over there?
Just yucking
the
it up.
Ultimate Warriors sign Pyro. The giant warrior symbol. You are not going to get more character represented. That's not a word. Character represented.
Representation.
That's a word. Yeah, more character representation of Pyro than just the guy's symbol. It's essentially the bat symbol. Ultimate Warrior is Batman. Ultimate Warrior is Batman. You make his symbol out of Pyro. It was incredible. And then he also, with the duggas, with the fist pumping, he had Pyro shooting on the ring as well. Not only did he have the signed Pyro, but the Pyro on the ring. Ultimate Warriors New Generation era run. That is my number 3 Pyro. And I'm very, very confident in it.
You sound it.
I'm a broken man, Joe. I'm a broken man.
I hope everyone knows.
What was I thinking with velocity?
I hope everyone knows that Dylan came in the second we got the topic, right before we hit the record button. Dylan goes, "You're fucking dead. I'm about to murder you." And I'm genuinely, I looked at the topic and I go, "Oh, this doesn't play into my strengths." But apparently it does. Because anyone that votes for Dylan this week, you got to be just a Dylan fan. And I can understand that you like Dylan. I like Dylan sometimes. But you
Guys,
can't say.
I'll take some votes for my number 1 pick and my number 3 pick. Now,
but my number 1 pick is solid. You know.
Your number 1 pick, again, Dominique Wilkins, just laying it up. That's what you did. Your number 1 pick should have been your number 3 pick. So I would have had a little bit of a fight.
I honestly, and I understand the love for the Waterfall Pyro, but I just assumed you were going to go Batista number 1.
I was going to go Batista number 4 because I didn't want to go easy this week. I wanted to think outside the bun, like the best fast food out there in Taco Bell. I wanted to do something different.
That's why we do these debates, Dylan. Because if everyone had the same answers like you normally do, it wouldn't be fun.
Nope. No.
It wouldn't be fun. And that's why we're here.
Joe,
that's why we have
Joe,
the debate.
Joe, there's no part of me picking velocity and in my head thinking this is so good. And now me looking at my list and seeing WWE Velocity as my number 2 pick going, what the hell was I thinking?
So, Dylan, just to recap.
Go, do your Pyro.
You had
do yours from 3-1. Do yours from 3-1.
I had Kurt Angle number 3, that red, white, and blue coming down the entranceway when he points to the sky and circling around him. Iconic. Batista machine gun.
There's no better. There's no better than that.
And then, of course, smoke snorting Goldberg coming out with that mountain of streamers surrounding him, walking through the fire like the warrior we thought he was. The smoke coming out his ears, his nose, every single orifice that existed, just to be able to pummel Hollywood Hogan.
Guys, my list, and I beg of you, if you want to not go along with the norm, you'll see whose list you should vote for this week. If you want to go with not, like, MapQuest will tell you, hey, take this easy route.
You're really aging yourself with MapQuest.
Take this easy route to Louisville. No. If you go from Wisconsin to Louisville on that MapQuest route, you're not going to see the sights that you could. by taking a side road here and there. If you want to take that side road and you want to have other options and not just go by what we're supposed to, the list you should go for.
Go ahead.
Number 3 is the Ultimate Warrior's New Generation Pyro. Between the rocket and the sign, the literal bat symbol for what is to come while he is in the ring. Blue coat, just massive comeback, destroying Triple H at WrestleMania 12. That's my number 3. And then, so now you've taken a little side road at that. You're getting back on the path. And now you see the sign for the world's biggest ball of twine. That world's biggest ball of twine that you really want to see is WWE Velocity. When have you seen the world's biggest ball of twine? And then when have you seen Pyro going across a ramp sideways into a box and not exploding, but just looking like it's guns and missiles shooting back and forth? You want to see the world's biggest ball of twine? Go with WWE Velocity. I'm really fucking trying hard.
I'm trying so hard to let you make and all I keep thinking, I go,
Guys, Christian's Rain Pyro
I just
the best
keep thinking,
Pyro of all time. You cannot deny that. You cannot deny that Christian's Rain Pyro and then Evolution and then Randy, that's the best Pyro of all time. It rained, it sprinkled, it bounced off the stage. If we're going with a list, you go with number 1. You don't worry as much about 2. You kind of care about 3. That's what we vote on this show.
I just keep
That's
going.
what we vote on. This is
whole
my
time.
ice moment. This is my ice.
That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm going, holy shit, this is even better than the ice.
World's biggest ball of twine.
I do want to bring up kind of an honorable mention that I was thinking. It
This
was
doesn't
so
count with your list. This doesn't count with your list.
No. No, it doesn't. I just want to say Chris Jericho's Y2J, kind of the inverted rainfall, the inverted, because it was just that wall that just shot straight up for that, but it was very sudden. It was just an explosion straight up, and then it looked like it was raining down when the countdown clock would end, and it would just be like boom, and then he'd be standing there. I was such a Jericho mark from WCW that when he debuted in WWE, like anything he did to me, like you couldn't argue against. To me, Jericho was like my guy. So when Y2J debuted and there was just that sudden explosion, and when the pyro would trickle down after it had come down and he'd just be standing there, I'd be like, oh, goddamn right, Chris Jericho. It's time.
My honorable mention
is a beg for forgiveness.
I honestly feel this, now that I look at this, my honorable mention, this is the most iconic standout pyro of all time in wrestling. Kane. You cannot argue that anyone has more of an effect with their character than Kane. You think about wrestling pyro, I truly feel no one's thought about more than Kane. That was on my list as my honorable mention. I don't know why the fuck I picked Velocity.
I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that
biggest ball of twine. You go and you see Velocity. You don't just go down I-90 South. You don't. You got to take a detour and enjoy what this country brings.
Twine.
Velocity.
What does this country bring?
Twine. I should have picked Kane.
Were you a Kane fan? Like, as a fan?
Deathly afraid of him. Deathly afraid of him when he started. And then, like, man, his pyro, you like, now that I truly feel his pyro is the most iconic. Batista, we love because of the machine guns. I think Kane's, when you think of wrestling pyro, I don't know if there is a wrestler out there that you think about with his pyro. I don't ever think about Kane besides mask and pyro. I think about Batista for the power bomb and just everything in the tattoos.
Give me what I want.
Yeah, I don't think you ever think of Kane without thinking of his Pyro.
No, I could see that. For me, I just was never a Kane fan. I never really liked
loved him, man.
just the guys who were monsters, who they would have like the little
He's the
run
best
on
big
top.
man of all time.
They'd have, but like he was one of those guys, the Big Show, Mark Henry, these guys who they'd have their little run, then they'd be back on the bottom of the card, and then they're like, oh, well, we need someone who's big to be a credible heel immediately, and all of a sudden they're back in the main event picture.
Yeah, but I think of Kane during that initial, Mike Myers run.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the Kane I really think about, especially with this Pyro. Like, you never knew when it was coming. Literally never knew when it was coming during the show. So when you were at a show live, I hated that because I was like, I don't know what, and it's just going to scare me. And people would legitimately get so scared by this explosion. I think that added a ton to the character too.
Oh, absolutely it did. And like you said, best big man of all time, what he was doing at his size, I mean, Kane could give you banger matches. And I think that's often forgotten. But I think even more so than Undertaker. Everyone likes to bow at the altar of Undertaker. But if you're giving me the choice that I got to watch one or the other, I'm going to take Kane over Undertaker probably, 7 days a week.
If you're traveling and you're driving with your family down to Orlando, down to Disney World, and you
see the world's biggest ball of twine,
and you just want to get there to meet the mouse and all of that with your family, you're trying to get there quick. That's where you go with Joe's list. But if you want to go and see what else this beautiful country of ours brings that you might not know, take the off route. Take a detour here and there. Check out the world. And that is what my list brings to you. That is what my list brings to the world.
Dylan, you are 100% right. If you want the quick and efficient way to get there, you come to my list. And you know why? Because time is money. And the money and the time that you save by getting to your destination sooner and voting for me also means you have time and money left over to check out the remnants when you have some spare time. It's not anything you want to spend your vacation on. You don't want to spend your full vacation on the big ball of velocity twine. You don't want to spend your vacation on the warrior signal. But you know what? I got a couple minutes. I'll drive by it quick. I'm not buying a ticket into the park to see it, but I'll drive by it just so the kids can get a quick picture and we can keep it moving. And that is why this week you should vote in overwhelming numbers for the Admiral of Awesomeness, the Colossus of Cool, the Emperor of Entertainment, and the Superstar.
Everyone liked Mikey Whipwreck. My list is the Mikey Whipwreck this week. You don't want to constantly see Sabu and Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam.
You're going to be the one who's going to use an ECW reference to make this point despite how much you hate it?
You don't want to constantly see Sabu, Rob Van Dam, and Taz on top. You need to sometimes go with the underdog. And that is my list this week. My list is the Spike Dudley. My list is the Mikey Whipwreck. My list is the Sami Zayn of this week.
Dylan, I like taking scenic trips through the country, driving around, seeing the great sights and everything this country has to offer. You know what I don't like seeing? 11 car pileups with 35 deaths, which is what your list is.
Holy shit.
Your list is 31 body bags holding up traffic for 7 hours on Memorial Day weekend, and I'll never get to my barbecue because I am stuck in a pit of death.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode.
Guys, thank you for all your support. We've had such a good time doing the show for the 2 months we've been doing it now. Please remember to follow us on all forms of social media @AffairsPod. Be on the lookout for that giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Wrestling Collectors Shop. Don't forget to use code SWOGGLE to save 10% at checkout. Patreon.com/PodXchange, PodXchange. We just recorded our first live social dinnering where Dylan and I sat down and broke bread with you guys. We had a great time. We'll be doing it every month as part of the Patreon bonuses. And of course, we've got new t-shirts, Dylan.
The Team Shoes and Team Swoggle shirts are coming. But then we have Joyzy Nix and Shoesway. After our very, very infamous deli sandwich debate, our debut episode, you could support whoever's side of the battle you are on. Are you Shoesway or are you Joyzy Nix? Then we have it is one of my favorite shirts that I've ever been represented on. The State of Affairs Curmudgeons, where myself and Joe are shown as the Statler and Waldorf of sorts. Just always arguing and always just curmudgeoning to everything in pop culture and the world.
Gotta love that. Of course, Dylan's shirts can be found at prowrestlingtees.com/swoggle. Mine over at prowrestlingtees.com/Joe Shoes. You can follow me all across social media at the Joe Shoes. And of course, youtube.com thank you.
Go ahead. I thought you were.
And of course, youtube.com/Joe Shoes for all my food reviews.
Guys, you can find me everywhere on socials at Dylan Postl. At Dylan Postl, and then youtube.com/Dylan Postl. I just put up 2 huge video diaries. The Water City Wrestling Con one has been doing awesome. A lot of people are really, really enjoying it and seeing a behind-the-scenes look at the biggest show in ACW's run.
Seeing a behind-the-scene look at your son getting his pants pulled down.
Yep. My son lost his pants in front of 1,200 people. It was great. But guys. Jesus. Guys, thank you. Thank you for the support of this show. Guys, we are having a blast with this show since the beginning. Just being able to yuck it up and debate such silly things. But between us over here and our other friends at the PodXchange, George Feast and Johnny Clash, or as Joe calls him, thank you, over at the Game Marks Pod. Make sure to check them out as well. This has been a state of affairs.
Velocity.
Fuck you.
Da